Today's video is sponsored by FluxPools.net, the official pool of the development team behind Flux. FluxPools is excited to announce their miner appreciation program. FluxPools will be giving 5 lucky miners on their pool $50 in Flux every week for the next 46 weeks. On top of that, there will be 0% pool fees on mining and parallel assets till October 14th. Guess what pool I have my Flux rigs on? That's right, FluxPools. Full details on FluxPools weekly lottery down below in the description. Thanks again to FluxPools.net for supporting the hobbyist miner community. What is going on, miners, and welcome back to the Hobbyist Miner channel. Well, we are back at it again, and today we have a special guest. Let me introduce Django. Django, thanks for joining me.
Hey, you're welcome. Thanks for having me.
So, guys, today we're going to learn a little bit about him, and I guarantee you have not watched anybody on my channel like him yet, let alone seen anything like this yet. So this is going to be really cool. Django, are you ready to get started?
I'm ready.
All right, I hyped it up, so we're about to get into it. So here we go. So let's jump back. You know, he is not only a miner who does this full time, but he is a new content creator, which is amazing, and I'm excited for you to be stepping into the space. I was you 2 years ago, so I totally understand. So with that being said, let's learn a little bit about you. So crypto mining, when did it come across your radar? And how did you get started? Was it just you fell into it? Did a friend introduce you? How did you come across crypto?
So I first came across crypto in 2016. That was my first exposure into Bitcoin. And I actually fell victim to like a cloud mining scam.
Oh no.
And so that turned me off to it. So basically I paid like $150 for a cloud mining scam. It was the first time I heard of Bitcoin. And then I got scammed out of my money, my $150, and I'm like, all right, it's scam. It's like I'm done with it. And I mean, Bitcoin was only $100 at the time, so
yeah.
it really. And I was actually really, I was young. I was like 18, so like I was not thinking right. I just let it be, and I never thought about it again until December 2017 when Bitcoin went to 20 grand, and it was all over the news and everything. That's when I heard about it, and I'm like, holy crap. I mean, it was $100 like a couple of years ago. I was like,
you were probably kicking yourself at that point because you're like, all right, cloud mining was a scam, but if I had gotten in then, look at the growth. Like that's insane.
Well, I mean, like when I first got into it, I didn't spend any time in research or anything. I just thought like Bitcoin and everything was like, and so when it went up super high, that made me realize, okay, I need to seriously do some research into this and figure it out. So that's what I did. I started researching Bitcoin, and that's when I came across mining, and I decided to give it a try. So I went on Craigslist and I looked for like Bitcoin miners, and I found these guys selling these old ASICs, and that's when I bought them, and I just tried it out. And I got them home. I got them back to my place and got them fired up, and it was a proof of concept. Like it was working. The Bitcoin was coming into my wallet, just really small amounts. And so I was like, there's gotta be a better way. And that's when I found GPU mining. So
very cool. It's so funny. Like I remember sitting down with Bitsby Trippin months ago, and he had said that like that is like the earliest thing as we as miners, like that gratification of when it hits your wallet for the very first time, and then you're hooked. You're like, wait, I can do this, and then I get paid in this. This like mystery coin type of situation, which is great. So Bitcoin miners. So you had some Bitcoin miners. You started making some money with Bitcoin. You were mining at home. How do you go from that? And what was your time period to, if anybody didn't know yet, this guy actually has a full operation inside of a data center. So how do you go from A to like Z?
So I bought the ASICs. I actually bought like 6 of them. And I paid $300 for all 6. So you can imagine they were like making like nothing. They're making like 10 cents a day basically. But I just wanted to test it out, see how it was working. And so once I got those home and plugged them in, I was like, yeah, okay, it works. Time to make something that makes more money. And so I started building. I built my first GPU rig. I bought all the parts, and I've never built a computer before. So this was like my first time building a computer, and it took me like 5-6 days. Like, after all the parts, like I built the rig and it just wouldn't work. Like, you know, you turn it on, nothing boots, and you had to do the 4G encoding. Like I had to learn all that stuff 4 years ago when there was like no content out about it. So it was hard. But yeah, I built one, and then as soon as I built the next one, I built that one, and then I just started. I couldn't stop building them. I was like, all right, I gotta sell some stuff and build another one, and then it just snowballed from there. And so yeah, I built out like that year in 2018. I ended up building out 180 cards of 1070s.
Oh wow,
Yeah,
1070s. And do you remember why 1070s then? Well, like at that point was the 10 series like the kind of cream of the crop at that point? And what made the 1070s so appealing?
Yeah, the 10 series were the cards that were out. Like that was the top of the line cards. And so it was either the 1080s, 1080 Ti's or the 1070s. And I just like the 1070 because I feel like it's like just the most well-rounded card because you get really decent hash rates. The price is not super expensive, and it has really good resale value. So I just, something, the 1080 Ti is a little bit better, but yeah, so that's why I went with 1070s, and I just basically sold everything that I had. I had a warehouse, and I come from a sales background, so I basically buy liquidation and just sell it, and so I just started selling everything. And I sold everything I had. I made it down to where I had like nothing left, and then I sold my truck and to buy more rigs.
Oh my word! So was this still at your house though? Were you still at your house?
No, so I actually had a warehouse that I lived in at the time. So that's where I was living. I was living in a warehouse, and it was sweet. It was like a 3,000 square foot warehouse, and I was paying like $1,100 a month for it. And it had free utilities too. So that was the other thing too. I was free utilities, so I was mining for free.
So you were liquidating stuff though. Like before you got so strong into mining, you were buying things and liquidating them. Is what you were doing. Okay, so you were already in that. So you were already in that world. Hence why you had a warehouse. Because I'm like, wait a sec, who just lives in a warehouse to live in a warehouse? So a lot of things are starting to line up here as to like living it, like sleeping in a data center now and stuff like that. So so you got
I'm already used to it. I'm already used to it.
So you got this warehouse and you're using it to liquidate stuff, and now you get into mining. You got Bitcoin miners, you got GPU miners, and you're just selling anything and everything. I mean, if it's not bolted down, your ass is selling it pretty much is what's happening.
Exactly. And I'm buying like more products to sell, and I just take all my profit, all the money I make, and just dumping it into miners.
And so, what were you mining then? What were you mining at this point in time?
I was mining Ethereum, and I pretty much mined Ethereum the entire time. I mined a little bit of Raven coin because right when I started, Raven coin came out. It was a brand new coin. I was one of the very first, like when it came out, I mined it within the first 30 days of it launching.
Wow.
So I was one of the very first people to mine Raven coin. So that's pretty much all I stuck with. And I mean, Ethereum was like $250, like, and I was mining it. So yes, it was, I know, I can't believe the price of Ethereum, like how much I've seen it grow over the past couple of years. But yeah, that's what I was just mining. And then
how did you handle, sorry to interrupt, how did you handle electric then? So like you were just paying $1,100 a month and that was it? Or was your landlord like coming to you like, dude, what is going on here?
So I was inside, my little warehouse was inside a bigger warehouse. And it was like the old, so like this was like a factory. And the part I was renting was like the break room of that factory. And so like all around me there was it's a bucket factory. So they were making buckets, and my little power didn't even phase that. Like they didn't even know the difference between their power and ours. So yeah, and I mean I was like in the break room, so I don't have like access to industrial type stuff, and I was just running extension cords from every square inch of the place. And when I ran out of power, there was a plug outside, and I ran extension cord from outside like through a window inside the building and got even more rigs. I was pushing it like way too hard, way too crazy.
There was no 80-20 rule. There was no like,
the extension cords were all like hot to the touch. I came home one time and one of the cords had like caught on fire and it left scorch marks up the wall, and I was like, I unplugged it. I bought a new one and plugged it right back in. Oh my god, I was a little crazy. I should not have done that, but.
So then how did you go from that what was your next step after that? Because you were maxed out on power, it sounded like, most likely space too. How did you jump from there to now, or was there a space in between?
There was a space in between. So basically, what happened was the prices were falling. Right, this was
Hmm.
2019,
Hmm.
and the spring of 2019. Like I had the opportunity to buy a house, like my first house, and so
Okay.
I was either going to be sell all my crypto or sell the mining rigs for the down payment in the house. And
Okay.
so I decided to sell the rigs. So I sold all the rigs. I kept all my crypto. Um, and so yeah, then I got the house, and then so I had zero mining rigs till 2021, and that's when I started. So like everything that I have
Wow.
now, I acquired 2021 to now.
When things were
So
hot and heavy at that
yeah, when
point.
things were hot, like yeah, hot AF. So
Do you look back and go, damn, if I continued to mine and didn't do the house, like, where would you be
well,
now?
I've done the math, and like I bought the house like at a crazy, like way below market
Hmm.
value, and
Yeah.
then the housing market exploded, and my house is worth like triple what I paid for it. So it ends up
Wow.
equaling out. So like if I would have just kept mining, I would have way more. But if I bought the house, then it ends up being the same. So
Okay.
it was a good move either way. And
So
I mean,
did you find the facility first, or did you start to accumulate rigs at your house again with the latest facility?
I started accumulating rigs at my house first
Okay.
before the big
Hmm.
facility. Yeah.
Okay. And then I have to ask, how big did you get before you're like, I need a facility, and you come across a data center? Like what were you looking at? What were you doing at home?
So I had plans like to run extension cords. Like I was like already like, how can I get the most power in here? But I knew it wasn't gonna work. I had only maybe 8 card rigs right
Okay.
off the bat. So when I started up, because when I was mining in my warehouse before, I was my thought process was like how can I get more rigs for me type thing.
Hmm.
Like I just wanted to buy more rigs. But my thought process in 2021 was I want to sell rigs and then host them. So
Got it. Okay.
because then I would make money from the sale, and then
Yep.
I would make money from the hosting. So basically, that's how
Smart.
I started. And so because I needed money for my own rigs anyway, right? Because I could
Hmm.
only build a couple.
Yeah.
But so I basically I talked to a couple friends, and I'm like, hey, like look, this is mining. Like where's it go? And the
Put your
first person I
salesman,
talked
put
to,
that salesman hat on, Yeah.
yeah, exactly. I talked to this one guy, and I meet him for the first time, and he wants to buy 8 card rigs, like right off the bat, like my first
Wow.
customer. And I was like, I can't even run that at my house. So uh, I was like, but I just took the money. Like I know, like, all right, give me the money. Like I'll build the rigs for you, and I'll get them
Yep.
up and running. And I was like, man, I gotta find something like right now.
Yeah.
And so I just started looking for buildings. Hard to find. I could find a couple here and there but it would only handle like 20, 30 rigs, and so
Hmm.
nothing really worth it. So I actually contacted my local data center here to see what they would charge, because I knew they would have power, and that's how I got started with them, and that's how I was able to expand like super quickly through
Okay.
2021.
Wow. Okay.
And then
So
yeah, and then
you moved
there was
into
a
a
great
facility. Yeah. So you moved into a facility. And then, oh yeah, that's right. I feel like I've watched this before, but I'm not going to ruin it. So you're in a data center. All right. And
yeah.
you got your rigs in there. So you've had multiple places, which is insane. I didn't realize. So then from there to now, you ended up moving into a facility. How did you go from a data center to where you are now?
So we started growing really big in there, and I could see that we were going to run out of room, and it was also expensive.
Okay.
But rigs were making quite a bit of money. They were making like 800, $1,000 a month. It was kind of crazy.
Oh yeah.
And so, but I knew that their place wasn't sustainable, but I knew like it was just okay for now until I could find my own. And so
Hmm.
I was looking for months to try and find a building, and I was looking like all over, like anywhere. I mean,
Yeah.
so I'm in Utah, and I even found a facility out in Wisconsin, and
Oh my word. You're just like
I was
going
thinking,
ham.
like,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. So it was like it was really far away, and I was like, man, this is the best option I could get. But yeah, I contacted realtors and like
Hmm.
stuff, and I was just like, let me like find me something. And basically, one day I got a call saying, I think I found the perfect place for you. And
Oh.
it was this old decommissioned data center, basically, because the
I
the
didn't even know
building
such
was,
things existed. Like, that's
yeah,
insane.
I didn't either. So it was just like I was just looking for something with a lot of power, but it ended up being just an old data center that the previous people that were in there, it was too expensive to upgrade the current facility, so they just
Yeah.
built a new one. And
Okay.
so the infrastructure was like already there, the power was already there, and so it
It's a
ended up being perfect.
dream. A dream.
Yeah. So, and then I just talked to the landlord and kind of negotiated a lease because I was wanting to mine and I wanted to, be safe and figure
Hmm.
out something that was a little future proof. So that's how I got the facility from there.
That's insane. So you're in it right now. Now that you've gone through
Yeah.
like a million different places, you're in this decommissioned data center. Now you're in there. You kind of have free reign in the place. And those of you guys curious, I'm gonna put a link down below to this kind of tour that he's done on his YouTube channel. Go check it out. It looks like something out of a horror movie, like just like wandering halls and stuff like that. But no, it's really cool. So you're in this data center. And you have a unique situation with electric, because that's really what makes or breaks situations. Give us a rundown. I know you've talked about it before, but give us a rundown as to your unique situation with electric and operating cost.
So basically, I negotiated a lease to where I just pay $100 per rig. Like that is my
Okay.
lease. So I don't pay the electric bill. I
Hmm.
don't pay for the AC. I don't pay for anything. I just pay $100 per rig, and
Wow.
that's the rent. So it's like
Okay.
if I had one rig in there, my rent would be $100. And then
Got it.
that's kind of how I explained to them because they had way more power than rigs that I had, and I was like,
Yeah.
I want to scale up, and like I don't know how much, you know. So I this much rigs, so that way I would pay just a little bit at the beginning, and then
Hmm.
at the end I would end up paying a lot more than
Yeah.
what the whole building is. But that's my cost is just 100
So
bucks a
is
rig.
it rigs physically on premises, or is it rigs that are powered on?
It's rigs that are powered on. So
Okay.
yeah, rigs that are powered on. Yeah, because it's the whole thing is electric based, and it's
Yeah.
$100 per kilowatt, basically per
Okay.
kilowatt rig. So I don't pay. So like if I had a rig that used 2 kilowatts, I'd be paying $200 for that
Yep.
rig.
Got
But
it.
I don't pay for like the outlets, the
Yep.
lights, like so
None
anything
of
that's
that.
not a rig that I have plugged in is I'm not paying for.
That's great. That's great, especially like right now with such uncertainty. If you're looking
Yeah.
to power down in order for like that, that's a really good avenue to go, which I think is really smart. So now that we've talked for 20 minutes just about like facilities, I feel like we've been getting tours, but it's good because, and as I told people at the top of this, your situation is totally different. So, what really pulled you in? We'll take a step back real quick, but like, you went from like 0 to 60 in no time, where it was like you're selling everything. What was your trigger, do you think, that really pushed you in that direction? What was that moment, or what was that happen? What occurred that you went from I'm selling everything to buy as much mining hardware as I can?
Just, I mean, at the beginning of 2021, when Bitcoin was around 30,000. This
Hmm.
before it had done its run up to 60,000, and I could see that we were going up, and so
Hmm.
I was just all in on rigs. I wanted to go like it. Basically, what happened to me 4 years ago in 2018 just came back to me 2021. Like, okay, I got to sell everything, get as many rigs as possible up and running. And I was selling like it was crazy how easy it was to sell them. And I
Hmm.
I had just sold them to friends and family, and then they would refer me to their friends and family,
Yeah,
and then it just literally went out from there. And then I was just getting calls and emails like every day, like, "Hey, I want to buy one." I would get checks in the mail,
that's
and
sick.
and then I would just buy the rig, and then it just that's how it cascaded up. And then like for the money I made from selling them, I would take that money and then
Hmm.
buy my own hardware. And so the
Yeah.
basically what I have now is just like it's half hosted, half mine, like type thing. But it's like the half that is being hosted pays for my half too, because I don't have to pay for. I haven't paid any electric in the past since the beginning of 21. I haven't paid for any of my own rigs.
Because it's all
Just
from your hosting side. Okay.
yeah, from the hosting, so it pays for so it pays for all mine. So
That's insane. I mean, that's fantastic. It's smart though to diversify. And it's also
yeah.
fuel, your front end business side is now fueling this secondary side, which is your personal side too. So no, I think it's really smart. So let's talk about your rigs for right now. Um, what does your current mining setup look like? And what I mean by that is a majority of your GPUs, And are you running server cases, open frames, and what GPUs would you say? Do you have one kind of GPU? Like back in the day, you were 1070s. Well, do you have like a staple you use now, or what does that look like?
So I pretty much only use 3070s, like across the
Okay.
board. I'd say 99% of my personal farm and what I built for people is all 3070s.
Wow.
And I didn't know anything. I tested out a couple different cards, but I mean, I just came to the same conclusion that I just like the 3070.
Hmm.
Um, but I didn't know about cases until just like this earlier this year. And so when
Okay.
I started in 2021, I just started building on open, like, because that's what I did in previously. So I was like, oh, I'll
Yeah.
just buy all the same parts. And I was buying the same motherboards and the same, like everything I bought 4 years ago, I was buying that exact same model number. So, yeah. So, and I didn't like bother doing any like research. I was like, because so many people just wanted like rigs right now. And I'm like, all right, we're just going to build open frames. And
Yeah.
then I really wish that I did not do open frames because it's causing when you start scaling up like this level of
Hmm.
open frames, they are just really hard to manage.
Yeah.
And it's just the server cases make things so much easier when you're dealing with like large scale. So I wish that I had done server cases from the beginning, but I
Hmm.
didn't know about it. And once I found out about it from there, I was pretty much all server cases. So that's why if you see like look at videos of my farm,
Yeah.
like there's a bunch that are all open frames. Those were all 2021 builds. And then all the server cases are what I built since then. So
Yeah, it's really nice to standardize as well, just from troubleshooting and everything like that. Like standardizing
it's
across
so
the board, it just makes it much easier. I have two open frame rigs left, and I cannot wait to convert them because it's like, oh my gosh, like they're just one, the space they take up, and two, just as I said, it's standardizing the hardware. It makes it much easier. So right now, today, we're recording this on the 28th of September. It won't be released for about 2 weeks. But as of today, are you mining anything? Are you powered off? What does your setup look like?
I'm still mining as of right now. I plan on
Okay.
powering off on the first
Okay.
because I paid for I paid my $100 a month per rig at the beginning of September, and that's for the entire
Got
month
it.
of September. And so I'm not necessarily profitable, but I already paid, and so
From the
so
merge being
that's
around
why
the
I'm mining for the
13th,
end of
14th.
September.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
So
cool. What are you mining? What are you mining right now?
So pretty much everything is on Ethereum Classic at the
Okay.
moment. I did have almost since the start of the merge, like basically right after I mined to the last block of Ethereum, and then right after I moved everything over to Ergo, and I was on Ergo for a long time, even through when the difficult, like all
Yeah.
the stuff happening with them. I mined with them for I switched off Ergo only like 3 days ago, so I've
Okay.
been on ETH Classic for only a couple days now, and I only switched off just because I had zero Ergo in my wallet, so I'm like, I'll mine a bunch of Ergo in
Yeah.
my wallet and just speculate on that. And so now they're just mining ETH Classic. I do want to mine a bunch of Flux though, so I probably will
Smart.
swap over to those. But yeah, that's pretty much where I haven't got to switch anything over to Flux yet because I mean the problem that I ran into and I didn't realize until like basically the merge is that the other coins require like more wattage and stuff, and I had basically on like all
You've
my
been
PDUs.
spoiled. You've been
Yeah,
spoiled.
I know. I've been way spoiled, and so
Yep.
like all my PDUs are like at 80% or even slightly above 80%, like 85% or like 87%, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I cannot do it. I can't switch over to. Otherwise, I probably would have switched over to Raven Coin on a bunch of them,
Yeah.
and I would have switched right over to Flex too, but
Yeah, my
that's why I went to Ergo.
3070s. Yeah, my 3070s are on Flux. That's a really good call. You'll get have you haven't mined Flux at all, right? At all in the past? You'll get very hooked on the parallel assets as you start to look into that. And then when they do snapshots too, you get like it's like a little package of more Flux. It's like, oh my god, it comes out everywhere. So yeah, you'll get hooked. My 3070s are on there. So if you have any questions, let me know. But let's talk about your recent purchases because you are one of a few content creators and miners that I know that really doubled down leading up to the merge. You expanded significantly. So tell us about that because some of your videos, by the way, guys, he has a video I'll put down below as well of like traveling with his sister to go pick up these rigs. And it's so cool. It's such a great video. But give us the rundown. What made you expand with so much uncertainty in the horizon?
So my that didn't quite work out the way I wanted it to, but
Okay.
to be honest, I was not thinking it as clearly as I wanted to be, but the whole reason I even did that video to buy that was to make that YouTube video. And
Oh,
so
okay.
I
Expensive YouTube video then. Really expensive.
yeah, a little much, but my plan was going to be to mine with it for the last 30 days, and I did buy the cards very cheap. I ended up paying like
Yeah.
$375 a card, which is
Wow.
still cheaper than what they are currently.
Yeah, it was
So
before the merge, so pricing was totally different than what it is now.
it was before the merge. Yeah, so yeah, like middle of August. So I got to mine on that for 30 days. And then I did have a few people interested in buying them, so I was planning on kind of just mining and then maybe selling half of them to other people and keeping the rest. But I mean, I'm a new content creator. I've been like obsessed with YouTube for like the past couple of months now, and I'm just like, I see like unlimited potential on YouTube, and I've lost all sense of reason or anything, but I'll do anything to make the video as good as I could possibly make it. And so
good for you.
Like before that video, I was like, it made so much sense in my head, and then after I got it, and I'm just like, oh man, I probably shouldn't have spent that much money on that YouTube video, but
you could have driven and picked up one rig, but the wow factor wasn't there.
It wouldn't have been as good as buying 10 of them. So
I love the one where it was like in that video, you're like in your hotel room, like looking out the window because you have a pickup truck packed with
the back of the truck. Yeah, I'm like, I was trying to convince my sister to help me haul them up like into the hotel room.
They're so heavy.
They are heavy. And I was like, all right, I think they'll be okay. And then they were, but man,
He's checking out the window a few times that night, just keeping an eye on things. Let's be honest here. I would have done the same thing, except I probably would have gotten like a U-Haul for that trip, or a closed cab, like just for that like purpose. But that's very cool. So jumping ahead here a little bit, are you mining any outside of GPU mining? Are you still doing any ASICs? And are you involved in any other crypto projects other than GPU?
So I have one ASIC, an L7, and I got that last year, and it's been awesome. It's still super profitable now. And so that's what I'm like, my plan going forward is to maybe liquidate some of my GPUs and kind of just for more L7s, just so I can fill out my room more and also keep the landlord happy by having something running and I'm paying something as well. So that's going to kind of be my strategy going forward is, get more into ASICs. But I mean, I still believe in the future of GPU mining for sure. And I just think it's probably going to take some time though.
Yeah, no, I think I've heard that a lot from quite a few people that I've chatted with here and there, that they're seeing right now that a lot, like the L7, great one. I know 𝐿𝐵 has one. He's always talked about how profitable that is with the script mining with Dogecoin and Litecoin. And I think it's a great avenue to go, is diversifying, because when GPU mining is down, which it is, even crypto overall is down, but you still have profitability, but it's on the ASIC side. So you diversifying, I think, is a really, really smart avenue to go. I mean, my ASICs are on right now. My S19J Pro is on because it's all like, it's still profitable, like, which is nice. You're not down for the count. Everything's powered off. So I think that's a really smart move. So let's go ahead. We're going to pivot in the direction of just kind of talking more about crypto specifically and less about, your setup. Are there any projects that you've been interested in or that you've come across that you think deserves more attention out there, that you're like, you followed along with it? I know you've kind of had your blinders on with Ethereum, but are there any projects out there that you don't get the attention they deserve?
I don't know. I'm very like conservative when it comes to my crypto. I pretty much have like nothing but Bitcoin and Ethereum, and I don't really have like any altcoins.
Okay.
So I mean, I have a little bit of like Cardano and like I have XRP and a couple other ones. But right now I'm kind of just speculating on future proof of work coins because I don't think that proof of work is ever going to go away, and I think that GPU mining like has there's a hole where Ethereum left, and I think that there will always be a place for GPU mine. It just makes sense because like everyone everyone has a graphics card, everyone has a gaming
Mm-hmm.
PC nowadays, and it's like becoming all the rage, and everyone's going to want to turn
Yep.
their graphics card in to make money. So I think that there will always be some type of GPU proof of work coin, and so I am wanting to just kind of diversify into a bunch of just future projects, because I mean the potential for one of these projects to go like up a lot is pretty big. I mean, like from a 50 to 100x from
Yeah.
now until the top of the next bull run. I mean, we don't know what it is yet, and so that's kind of what I'm speculating on now, is just small projects. I don't really follow anything. I've just been crazy busy just expanding my, like, because I run this entire farm by myself, and so I have not like looked at any other projects at all. I mean, I haven't mined anything other than just, I haven't even mined
Yeah.
Flux yet. So
Yeah. Exactly.
and
No,
so
it's
now
great.
that so now that the merge is over, and I mean I'm turning my rigs off in 2 days.
Mhm.
I'm going to basically be focusing on that. I'm going to have a couple rigs on that are just going to be spec mining a couple of these coins. I'm
Smart.
going to do a bunch of research into a bunch of different small projects and kind of just put my feelers out. And I don't know anything right now, so
No, it's
yeah,
it's definitely a
I
good
haven't done
out.
the research.
It's a really good avenue to go. I mean, I think you bring up some really good points where like we are at the bottom of the bottom right now, and like now it is the time. Now's the time to speculative mine, and you're spending money on electric to spec mine, but your hope is that these things take off in the future, which I think is smart. Something you made a really good point, and I've heard almost the statement before where like you talked about everybody has a graphics card, so like proof of work isn't really going anywhere, and you're absolutely right. And Flux is actually working on a proof of useful work concept where like you can put your cards on them, and then they're used for things like simulations and other concepts that there's like folding and stuff like that will be fully available on their platform. So now you talk about like Joe Blow at home that's like, hey, I got my 3090 for gaming, but now I can put it on proof of useful work, help to solve these things, and also get paid out as well. It's like this may all of a sudden just rekindle, like all of a sudden 2020 2021 it might just rehash itself based off of that, which will be really interesting to see. So we're talking about the Ethereum merge there. What were your expectations? Did you think that profitability would drop as low as it did? Kind of, you said you mined to the last block. Kind of give us the rundown for you of what occurred for the merge for you at your facility.
So I expected, like, as soon as the last block hit, to basically be like everyone switch over immediately and this profitability be like down, like extremely down the next
Yep.
day. But it took a little bit longer than I expected. I remained profitable for like a week after, which
Okay.
which was pretty cool. And then as the difficulty started going up on a lot of these things, that's when it tanked down. And then and I expected to not be profitable for 3 months. That's what I
Okay.
planned for. I'm like, okay, my rigs are gonna be off. I'm not gonna make any money for 3 months. But like now that we're like in the second weekend, I'm just looking at stuff and I'm like, man, I think it might take a little bit longer than 3 months.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so that's what I planned for pre-merge. I'm like, okay, no profitability. And my electric's pretty good. And so, but it's not like the best in the world. So
Sure.
and that's why I expected no profitability. But yeah, now that and what really surprised me is how many people are like didn't sell their rigs, and
Yep.
how many people are still like not even selling. They're planning on just holding them for
Yeah. How long as it takes.
So
yeah.
it takes a couple months for people's spirits to break down and sell their rigs, and then all the weak hands will flush out, and then maybe it'll be profitable again. So maybe it'll be break even profitable.
I like it. I like it. No, I think that's awesome. So, a few last questions here before we wrap up. But what, and this is all just up in the air. Your thoughts. What do you think needs to occur for GPU mining to rebound? Is there any events that you think need to occur, or things that happen that you think for us to rebound?
Yeah, we need a Bitcoin to go back up to 60,000 is what we need.
Okay.
No, so I think that for something to be profitable again, the amount of people that have miners, like the amount of miners out there, needs to go down, because we've seen like there was a graph out there that said like 67% of all the miners are turned off, and so those aren't necessarily not like those could be turned on at any time. We need to have time for people to sell their machines, people stop mining, and then once all the amount of hash power has gone down quite a bit, then we can see, the prices rise, and then the hash power needs to rise with the prices to keep everything profitable. So, and I don't know how long that will take. And I think now it's probably going to be a year or so now is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I hope you're right. I mean, a lot of people have said we kind of need this purge. Like that's what we're experiencing now. It's like the purge of all this hash rate, because you got to think about it. In the last 2 years, the amount of hash rate that came online is just stupid. And now it's like, okay, now it's like we need that hash rate to come down across the board, and it's happening. I mean, look at all the charts. Everything is pointed down, even with as many farms that are out there. Now, I do know a lot of farms that have stayed powered off, that are staying powered off this month and next month. So it's like, all right, things may start to trickle back, but all these thousands and thousands of home miners who, just like you said, are selling or are packing them away, and they're going to check back in a year from now. It's like, all right, it's still a purge, and that's healthy. I mean, I think we have so much demand, but the supply is so limited. So no, I think that's definitely smart.
Yeah.
So what do you, last few questions here. What do you tell people you do for a living when they're like, hey, what do you do for a living?
I don't even know what to tell. I don't even know how to answer it, because I tell people I mine crypto and I'm a YouTuber. That's what I tell people now.
Okay.
But I mean, even before this whole thing, I'd never know what to tell people, because I just sit at home all day selling stuff on eBay. So
you bum, you're such a bum. You don't do anything,
Yeah, exactly. So
hey, it's smart, absolutely. And it's really, I think it's a natural progression for you to move into from kind of that your own entrepreneurship of buying and selling to now moving into crypto. I think it's a natural fit. So have you had anybody approach you since the merge that knows of crypto, that knows how lack of profitable it is now, and kind of hit you up like, oh no, what are you going to do now?
Yeah, there's been a couple people, they're just asking like, what's the plan? Like, what are we doing? And I'm just like, the plan is to wait out the storm. That's the current plan. And also just diversify into ASICs and, just other things that make money. Some stuff like that. Awesome. Maybe I'll get into some trading, because I've never really traded crypto at all. So it's like there's lots of other ways to make money, even during the bear market. So I'll be looking into all that stuff.
It's definitely smart. A good avenue to go. I haven't heard that answer recently, but I think that is something to be looking at, especially just trading crypto alone, which I think would make sense. So last question of today, to wrap things up. We're about 40 minutes in. So is there anybody in the community, content creator or not, that you think would be a good fit for this style show, that you think, hey, this is somebody that people should hear from? Is there anybody that comes to mind?
I'm so new to the space, so I don't know.
That's okay. That's okay.
I don't know a ton of people, and I don't know who you've done on here before. But
throw it out there. I'll tell you either way.
Yeah. Well, one of the creators I really like Red Panda Mining. I've been watching his videos a long time. Even
who's this guy? Never heard of him before.
Yeah. Right. only the guy. Right.
Yeah. Right.
And that's pretty much everybody that comes to mind.
Well, that's okay, because I've been hassling him for like over a year to get him on, and he always has a really good excuse. So this just allows me to throw him under the bus, because I know he'll watch this. So it's like, great, I get to throw Panda under the bus another time, which is fantastic. I love it. Well, listen, I'm going to go ahead and I'll leave links to some of the videos that we talked about down below. I really encourage people to go check it out. Go over and subscribe to Django. I mean, he's just starting off on YouTube, but his content is really second level. He spends a lot of time planning them out, and they're a lot of fun, which is great. They're one of those, some of that content where you just like, you can't just watch 5 minutes of it. You got to watch the entire thing. So go over and check him out, guys. If you guys enjoyed this type of content, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. And finally, from myself and Django, thank you guys very much for joining us today. We'll see you next time. Take care.